welcome back to another episode of I'm Really Into That Stuff. This is the podcast that features me, Jana Stern, energy healer and psychic, as I delve into conversations with different folks in the holistic and conscious industries about the many beliefs and practices of spirituality, mental health, and what it means to be a human who's into that stuff in 2021 and beyond. Hello, and welcome to another episode of I'm Really Into That Stuff. I'm Jana Stern, energy healer, psychic, and whatever the fuck. And I am super excited to be joined here today by Victory Jones. She is a songwriter, a singer, a sound alchemist, and a creative entrepreneur. You're a little bit of everything in this magical, mystical world, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. I'm a multidimensional alien goddess being here on just like figuring shit out.
Showing up in a body for a part-time gig.
Yeah, essentially. That's what's happening.
Oh, I love it. We met in a very cosmic moment for me at an event that I helped to plan, and you transported half the space to another dimension.
Yeah. That actually just happened before I got on today with you too. I did a mini meta, I like to call them, with a group of people in a mastermind and just took them on a 10-minute journey. And they were like, what the fuck just happened? I'm like, sound. That's what just happened.
You have such a skill. And I don't even know, is it a skill or I think it's just a gift?
It's a gift. I do have a certain skill set. I have a keen level of discernment that is instinctive. And I also have a skill set as a vocalist and very amazing energetic awareness. However, this is definitely a channeled gift. This is something that just comes to me, through me, for everyone else.
Tell me a little bit about your spiritual journey and how you kind of got here.
Oh my God. I mean, my parents met at a house party in Brooklyn, and then fast forward, there's so much to that. Where do we even begin? So for me, everything is spiritual, right? Like everything is non-physical and like energetic before it manifests as whatever we see, feel, touch, all the things. And it's still spiritual even when it's a physical thing. So my awareness or my awakening or whatever you want to call it began around the age of 33, which is funny. Isn't that the Jesus year or whatever? Anyway, when I got married, I was married before. Shout out to my ex-husband. He's an amazing human. Just didn't work out for various reasons.
I love that. I love an ex that just feels like love, but not forever.
He's amazing. He's an amazing human. I wouldn't have married him if he wasn't an amazing human. It started then because it was just such a wonderful, amazing experience and fairy tale that just showed me so much. We learn the most about ourselves in the deepest intimate relationships. Usually those relationships are romantic because that's where we unravel and unleash all the parts of ourselves and show up with all the parts of ourselves. Even the ones that we don't realize are showing up to the table, they're there and they get unmasked and unhidden and excavated. So that was the beginning of it. Specifically also when our marriage started to fall apart, as I was becoming a new type of creative entrepreneur. I co-found this amazing initiative with a then friend of mine. So it was like I was creating this amazing thing in the world. I was making music in a way that I hadn't before. And I was in the middle of this marriage that was so amazing till it wasn't, all at the same time. And then things just started to turn in weird ways and I started to just pay attention. Even before that, I started practicing yoga and meditation. I wasn't really that great at meditating because it used to irk the shit out of me, but I liked moving my body. And then I realized that like, oh, actually I've been meditating and practicing yoga my whole life, just in different ways. Because people think of yoga just on the mat. No, yoga is life. Yoga is union. Yoga is being yoked with spirit, all the things being yoked together in union. So my spiritual journey, I can't put a timeline on it. And for me, time doesn't exist in a linear fashion when you talk about spirit. But I started to become aware of that sort of stuff in my 30s. And I'm in my 40s now. And so it's been a good little spiritual sprint. It's been a good run. And then you realize, oh shit, this is not really a sprint. It's a marathon. This is a practice. And you get to live this every day. And so it really started in my early to mid 30s. And then it got really dark night of the soul-y, late 30s to early 40s, divorce, pandemic, death of my dog and moving and all the things. What the fuck is happening? Like, what is going on? But everything was being cleared to reset for me to show up as a different version of myself and detach me from the attachment of life. You want to talk about yoga? That's real yoga. And then actually having to put all the tools into practice and like intuitively find my way back to myself and learn how to listen to myself and trust myself. Because all of society is built around the opposite of that shit. The whole economy would collapse if we were actually tied to our intuition, listened to it, used our instincts, and knew who the fuck we were, know who we are and why we're here. Western culture and capitalism. There's other systems as well that would collapse, but this one for sure.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I think that there are other things that would completely thrive if
Oh,
we
absolutely.
did that. In fact, I'm not so secretly hoping that that's what happens. I genuinely want for there to be a whole new reality where we exchange energy on purpose and we
Yes.
have awareness of what the energy feels like in the exchange. And that exchange becomes something where it's like, oh, here's what I'm bringing to the table, and this is my value. And not just, I own this many things, I have this many zeros, therefore I'm valuable. And what would that look like? I think about that shit every day. It's why I'm in crypto. It's why I'm bullish on all of the things that are outside of the matrix narrative, because everything in it is so broken. It's just so broken.
I think it's distorted. Yeah.
That's an interesting reframe. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Because I feel like nothing's ever really broken, but distortion is real. And transitions are real, and shifts and things like that are real. But yeah, I feel it's very distorted. A lot of things can be really distorted. And I don't want to be the blurry line over here right now today. I want to be laser focused over here. I want to be, this is where I need to be, not over here in this bullshit. But sometimes it just happens. What are you going to do?
It's funny though, because there are so many people who are outside of the conscious space that would say that all of the stuff that we're talking about is the blurry line. And I'm like,
it just depends on your perspective and your level of awareness, which also affects your level of consciousness. And this is not a hierarchy. I feel like it's more like quadrants. You look at life as a circle, and I forgot who this is by, so forgive me, but it goes from victim to victory, pun intended. Life happening to me, victimhood. Life happening through me, oh, this is different. Life happening for me, where, oh, well, now that feels really great. And then life happening as me, where you're completely detached and in an elevated, enlightened, quote unquote, state where you can receive everything as love, even the shitty parts, and be grateful for even the heinous things, and see that it's all different expressions of the same energy. So there's no hierarchy. It's just a circle with different pieces of the pie that all fit together. And at any given moment, they can switch, and you can be in one different, you can be in life happening as me. And then today I feel like life is happening to me, and it can shift. And I have the level of awareness where life is happening as me, but I'm still human, and I'm still a part of this whole unified consciousness, which we're all inhabiting. So it doesn't matter how high I'm vibrating, I'm still affected by everybody else's shit. Truly tapped in and aware, you can still be affected by it.
I think you can't not be affected by it. I was saying how even though we're totally inventing this whole reality and it's all make-believe and just fully a projection of our mind, it's also very real. It's the only experience that we're having. So we have to be in the experience of experiencing and recognize, okay, this is just me experiencing life in this way right now. And that's okay. And it can shift, and it will, because it always does, especially when you have the awareness. I find that for people who are into that stuff, which is, the name of this podcast,
I love that.
they tend to be like, oh, here I go again. I just want to get back to the good part. And it gets faster when you learn, but you have to have the experience of whatever the thing is, because life is going to keep unfolding.
You need the contrast. The contrast is there for a reason. It's there for a reason. And also at some point it becomes less contrasty, and it just becomes, oh, this is just part of this cycle right now. And it becomes less light and dark and more of just different shades of gray, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. It's so funny. It's like, I'm into that kind of stuff. It's like the stuff, like what stuff? The stuff that's the reason you're breathing and exist here.
Right. I love when people say to me, oh yeah, crystals, I believe in that. And I'm like, do you have a device in your hand? It is being fueled by a crystal. You believe in crystals because they really exist. There are crystals inside of you. You literally exist.
Well, yeah, nobody says I believe in air, but you're breathing. Same difference.
I'm going to use that one.
I'm saying, I see so much that I can never articulate, but then I see things like that and I'm just like, okay. Okay, everyone. So we're aware. Yeah, I believe in electricity. Your heart has an electromagnetic field. You are a bioelectric being. So do you believe in electricity, or is it just a thing that exists that is part of the fabric of your experience here? It's real. It's like, okay.
Right. And to me, the best parts are the things that are really hard to prove when you get into the astrological stuff and you're really up there and in there. understanding about the dynamics of human beings and how things relate. And I have friends who are astrologers. They're able to look at a chart and ascertain based on the time of your birth, when you'll divorce, when you'll get married, when you'll this, when you're that. And people literally don't want to believe it. And I'm like, it's all written. Like, yes, you have free will and there can be choice within that. But if you look at your life, it's all there. And people so badly want to feel like they have control. I was saying this earlier today. We take all these photos, we tweet tweets and share on Instagram, and we do our best to like prove to people, like, I was in this reality and this was my reality. And here is the proof, right? And it really becomes a game almost, because none of it is real.
Yeah, it's funny here. We're in a Sims game. This is literally like we're in a Sims game, and I have to keep remembering that. And I'm just like, oh, okay. Let me reset when I can bring myself to that point. I haven't yet today, because today I've been feeling all of the things. And this is just part of the game for me today, is the feeling the things.
What helps you to reset?
Time in nature, time alone, time in loving environments that are nurturing. I'm literally about to text my friend and invite them over for a cuddle and be like, do you want to just get on the couch and cuddle? I don't even want to talk. I want to go move my body, hang out with this dog, meditate, read a book, and then cuddle. Connection to self, to breath, to the earth, to other people. I think that's the thing that resets me. If I have to look at what they all have in common, is connection, flipping back into that love vibration through myself and with the things around me that are just there to be connected to. There's no agenda, there's no intention, there's no motive. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Connection. That's one of the things that I'm always seeking it. I'm a Pisces, right? So I'm always seeking that deeper depth, the deeper connection, and that full awareness of what is in a moment and how to get closer to it or more involved with it in some way.
Yeah.
And then it rejuvenates, no?
Yeah. And then I'm a Gemini, so we try to think our way there, and that shit never works.
That's where my moon lives. So my heart's always thinking.
But however, I have a lot of Taurus in my chart. In the Vedic chart, I'm also a Taurus. So I'm very much aware of what's going on. I'm very connected. I like to take my time. I like things to be beautiful. Literally, when I was talking to my business partner earlier, and he said, well, just be in your highest, follow your inspiration, stay where you're inspired, be in that vibration. What inspires me is beauty, going slowly, really relishing things, cherishing things, the slowness and the juiciness of things. I can appreciate when things move a little bit more quickly, but that's not where I choose to live. And that's where the world is so fast. And I'm also very fast. I speak fast. I still have a lot of Gemini. My processor is very fast. I'm like a human computer. That's how I present and process. But the truth of who I am and what feels good to my soul is to be slow and to allow myself spaciousness and to relish things and cherish them and really admire the beauty of whatever is happening, even the things that people don't find beautiful, whatever that is.
That's so interesting, because when we do live in those dualities, like you move fast, you are fast, but you like to move slow. I have a lot of duality myself. You know, my fish swim in opposite directions. My moon is the multiplicity of Gemini. I'm all over the goddamn place. No wonder I've been diagnosed with all the fun mental disorders. But one of the things that's coming up as you're speaking is it's hard to be human, because there are things that in myself I want. Like, I want to be chill and peaceful. And I don't know that a single person would have ever referred to me as such, but it's who I really want to be on the inside. I want to be an easygoing, chill person who just goes with the flow, but I need everything listed, everything planned, everything organized. I think living in that duality is a really complex way to be, because how do you love yourself even though you're not as slow and calm and peaceful as you want to be? You know, but there's this pull to go in that direction, and you're like, well, I could be, but how do I get there?
I believe that the truth of who we are, what we truly desire, is who we truly are, because that's our design. Our design and our desires are inextricably tied, so you can't separate the two. So if you really desire to be chill, it's because that's who you're that's who you really are. Anything else that you're operating as, your operating system, is your survival mechanism that gets you through the world. It's a chosen state of being to navigate this fucking shit show of being human. That's also an amazing, beautiful mess. So I process fast and I overanalyze, and I'm really great at puzzles and responding to life, because I have to be a human computer to live and survive and thrive. But actually where I really want to be in my soul is I just literally want to be draped in honey and have someone feed me grapes and just make beautiful things and admire beautiful things all day and sing. That's all I want to do. I want to be in my full sensual,
I feel like
I'm
I
a
want
very
to say,
sensual being, and like that's
if
where I
you
want
want to
to.
join us on this mission, sign up at
Yeah.
the link in our bio.
Yeah. So what I'm learning to do is use all the tools of how I show up to
Yeah.
create the life of how to feed my design and my desires. That's where I'm at right now in my life. The two things are intersecting, and it's like, oh, okay, great. Okay, this is who I really am. How do I use all of my external superpowers to feed my internal desires? Because that's who I really am, and that's what makes me deeply satisfied. So that's literally where I am. You're watching in real time right now. This is what's happening in my life, and I'm like, whew. And I feel sometimes I'm so between those two worlds, and that's where I feel stretched and like I'm just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna unravel. I'm just gonna let myself unravel. I'm not gonna try to control it.
I think you have to. You have to unravel. I think that that's the best part about being human. I mean, I was thinking about Shakespeare and how in so many of Shakespearean plays, there is huge human unraveling, this undoing of self, where you just see people just fall to pieces in themselves, of themselves. They just can't be a human anymore. And it's the most real of who we are. And eventually you come through on the other side, God willing, on the other side, better and more whole and complete because you let yourself go there. And as somebody who's let myself have many psychotic breaks and breakdowns and breakthroughs, I've had, multiple dark nights of the soul in my journey. I feel like the universe keeps bringing them to me to show me that I have this capacity to really truly unravel and then come back together in a new way that feels more solid but also more soft. And
Yes.
and so in the desire to be more chill and more easy, I feel like in the body and in the consciousness that I exist in, understanding how that trauma is responding to my reality, in order for me to be able to change it, I have to let it break down because
Yeah.
I can't rebuild the whole thing
Mm-mm.
if there are still parts of that structure in existence. So I need to have a solid, like, mental.
Destruction phase. You have to let the whole thing crumble on itself. And sometimes you actually have to actively destroy it. Allow yourself to be like, okay, I'm going to dismantle everything I thought I knew in my entire life. And this sucks and it feels weird. Sometimes it feels amazing. But most time for most of us, change is scary. Well, now I got to shift and do all this shit. Okay. Because what's on the other side is a rebirth. It's a life, death, life cycle, infinity symbol that just keeps looping. And we're somewhere in the middle.
Constantly. And I think we as humans think to ourselves, what am I doing here? But I think that at this time in human history, what we're
Yeah.
doing here is on purpose,
Yeah.
unraveling.
Yeah. I'm just curious what it's going to look like on this planet in like a few hundred years, because right now is a very interesting time.
Tell you what, I will not be here. I will not be visiting wherever I'm going. No, I'm done. I've said this many times. I'm so tired. My soul is exhausted.
Yeah. I
I don't,
actually got a download in my meditation the other day that there's a possibility that your life path number is how many times you've incarnated here. Don't know if that's true, but that came to me in a meditation. Totally
as an
wasn't thinking
8,
about that.
I guarantee you that shit is true. I mean,
I'm
and
a
like
33. I'm tired. You want to talk about somebody's soul being tired? Oh, she's tired.
this is why you're like, let me just operate in the frequency. I'm not going to even say the words. I'm just going to make some sounds and take them someplace else that they've already been many times. That they're craving, because we are, aren't we? We're just craving. How many people come to you after you do a sound healing and just tell you how changed they are for it?
Yeah, or even if I just sing, it's a whole thing. And I get that. Because even for me, when I sing, it's so funny because I love sound just as much as I love silence. Singing for me also recalibrates me and grounds me and helps me to shift and calm my nervous system. So does silence. And I love that I have the ability to choose. I can be like, okay, I'm going to sing now or I'm going to be quiet. I get to choose. And it's so wild because even how you show up, because sometimes people want you to show up and, oh my God, you have this beautiful voice and sing. It's like, I don't feel like singing today. I want to be quiet today. Today's the day for quiet. Or sometimes when people want you to be quiet, you're like, I want to sing. Like, I want to make noise. It's like, riding that wave of what are we doing today? What's the dance? How can we do it in joy? How can we receive it all as love? And I have to remember to stay in my gratitude, and I get to stay in my gratitude even when it's shitty, because that is the thing that saves me the most from completely just like losing my shit.
Did you get to a point where you were using your voice to activate others?
That's been happening since I was a kid.
I got
I
that.
just wasn't as aware of it.
Sure.
It was just like, I'm doing the things and it feels good in my body and this is fun. I became hyper aware of it in my 20s, and then awareness has increased. And then now the more aware and attuned I am to energy and understanding how energy works and how energy flows in my 40s, I'm a divine instrument. This is some serious ninja shit. This is some spiritual. I understand the assignment. I understand the power of it. And right now I'm literally just building out things that allow me to use that in ways that feel good to me and also serve humanity. It's a yes and.
What a blessing.
Yeah, it's a blessing, and it's also super challenging. How can I lean into that with love? I was crying. I was like, I feel so far away from my goals. And my friend was like, that's great that you feel like that. That means a miracle's about to happen. And I'm like, really? She's like, yes. I'm like, fuck. Okay.
Amazing. I'm so glad to hear that. Thank you, your friend.
Yeah. Thanks for the perspective, because I feel like a psycho right now. What is happening?
She's right. That's the thing. That's the unraveling. You're like, well, I'm in a ball on the floor, so I guess I can only stand up now.
Yeah. And then not over analyzing everything. I don't have to find meaning in everything. Sometimes you just feel crazy, let yourself feel crazy and just let it pass.
I'm so guilty of that.
Yeah, trying to find meaning and everything. I'm like, fuck the meaning. I feel crazy right now. I'm just gonna own my crazy, be in it, and cry in the kitchen into my green tea, and then I'll be okay. Maybe afterwards, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll take a nap. Maybe I won't. Who knows? I know nothing. I'm just here.
I'm just a pretty face. Let
I'm
me
just like, earth school. What the fuck is going on? I'm just here. And it gets to be fun to co-create with other humans and share how you feel, share your experience, and actually create things that are resonant and powerful and beautiful, not only for you, and you get to say, look, I made this thing and this is beautiful, but for other people to take and share it. So really, even earlier when I was talking to my business partner, shout out to him, he's also an amazing human. It's supposed to be like a 10-minute call. It was like an hour. We were on the phone. Oh my God. And just I needed that. I needed it.
Yeah, because otherwise the energy gets stuck, right? And somebody that you would call a business partner, somebody that you partner with in life one way or another, you want them to help you to understand, oh, you're just in a thing right now. Let's move that a little bit. Let's just get you back to you.
Yeah. Yeah. And stay in your highest and trust the trust. Don't overthink it. You don't have to be perfect. Again, the way I show up and process everything, you don't have to be in your computer. Go back to the slow part of you, the inspired part of you, the loving part of you, the part of you that is just being, less doing and more being. And that feels amazing, except for when I look at this to-do list, it seems like it's infinite. And I'm like, fuck. Okay, but you don't have to do everything right now. You know, also you're not doing it by yourself. You know, we put the pressure on ourselves all the time. And why am I doing that? Because I don't have the things, or what I want to create and manifest is not physically right here, right now. So the space between the thing that I'm seeking and what I'm being, there's a gap. And I'm like, oh my God, look at the gap. Why would you do that? It's like being on a bridge and somebody says, don't look down, and you look down, and you're like, oh my God.
I'm not going to jump now. I think also as women and as entrepreneurs and as creators, the feeling is I want to just keep creating, right? We're here for creation. And so for me, in those like gestation periods, I'm super uncomfortable. I want to also be constantly making, creating, doing. And my to do list is the same, just a gazillion things. I want so badly to have this expansive self that reaches many and touches lots and helps and heals and does all those things that matter in this life that I know that I'm here for. And of course, I look around, I see how just broken people are, and I'm like, oh shit, my to-do list is even longer than I think it is. And then I kind of come back to, okay, but how much am I actually responsible for here and now? And then can I give myself rest even though my to-do list is so long and there's a million things that I want to accomplish? It's tricky to feel like you're ever doing enough.
And that's why being is so powerful, because just being is enough. And I'm leaning into that. And I am here to usher in new ways of being. That's one of the reasons I'm here. And 80% of the time, I would like to not be creating. I would like to not be doing shit. I would like to be out in the world, traveling, observing, just experiencing things and resting, because that's where I get my inspiration. And then my 20% output crushes most people 80% output. I know this about myself. And that's my design. But the world is not designed culturally for people to exist in that way comfortably. It's literally the opposite. It's highly disruptive, the way that things are set up for people who operate and who are embodied the way that I am. So that's the slowness, that's the chorus in me to observe and to like create and have these moments. My beingness is enough. And then I create from that. Like be, do, have. But the world is very like, do, have, oh yeah, be whenever you get the chance. Like, fuck that.
In your 2-week vacation that we've allotted for you, right?
That's exhausting. I literally have a friend that says I retreat for a living, and I love her for that. She's like, I work when I want to, and I retreat for a living. I am not going to be a slave to a job. I'm not doing that. She's like, I have a purpose and I love to work, but I'm not going to allow myself to be in that mindset or that vibration because it will crush my spirit. And I'm like, oh, I love this. And she's always great. And it's funny when you look at people who just trust and they just allow themselves to be, they're just magnetic. And that's another thing too, is I'm on this cusp of leaving that old shit behind and being more my beingness, just show up how I am and just know that me loving and inspiring others and just speaking, just flowing from who I really truly am is actually a form of co-creation. It's a little bit more passive than what society is used to. Masculine output to be like feeling like a champion. It's like, no, I'm very much reintegrating the feminine principle of productivity.
I think it makes the container bigger. I think it makes more space. I've been hearing this a lot lately. When women have enough, everybody is fed. And I think that being creates this massive container for lots of people to be inside of it. And you innately give that permission, and then the system starts moving in that way. I talk a lot about the system breaking down. Fuck the system. I hate the whole thing. I want it all to look drastically different. And I want it to look more like what you were talking about, where here I am existing, doing the things that are in my purpose. My purpose is fulfilled. Therefore, I am enough. And I have enough because my purpose is fulfilled. And you're right. We need people like you to continue to be that, so that the example is there of what's possible in a whole new collective reality. I believe it's possible that we could all exist this way, but yes, a lot of things would have to crumble for it to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah. With what I'm creating, what I'm actually putting out into the world, this next iteration of how I want to show up as an artist, I'm creating something that's based on the value of the intrinsic value of who I am and the gifts that I've inherited that I share with the world. Yes, I can create, but what are we creating together based on who I am as a person, based on my design? And that's what I prefer. Instead of trying to go out and be like, well, what am I good at? Oh, I can be really great at this thing, so go do that. Those days are dead, of doing shit to do it because you're good at it, because that's soul sucking. It can be. They don't always align. You can do something doesn't mean that you should. I just don't subscribe to that. You can, but it's very rarely that those things align with the truth of what your design is. And so I'm actually on the precipice of, my birthday's in 2 weeks, but for my birthday month, we're working on a special community membership. One of the things that I love is connection, community, collaboration, creation, and play. So what does that look like? It looks like all the things that I am and anything that I bring to the table through my gifts, whether that's just me showing up and holding the space for other people, me using my voice, speaking, singing, writing, me creating amazing experiences, or me sharing my travels or whatever, the food that I make, whatever it is, sharing all of these things, or any aha moments that I get within this container space of community, and a community that is of like-hearted people, because I don't believe in like-minded people. I don't want to be in a room with a bunch of people who think like me. What the fuck would that look like? I'm good on that. I want to be with people whose minds are completely different, but we have heart confluence and we love the same. That's what I want. And so I'm creating that, and it's going to be through a digital token that has music attached to it, and it's just going to be a beautiful beginning of me opening up for community, collaboration, and co-creation and play, for us to nurture ourselves. And then for me, if it's not igniting, inviting, or exciting, I'm not fucking with it. I can't. Life is too short for me to be doing something just because I can. And what's crazy to me is that I just got here and how much I've actually sacrificed by not allowing myself to bridge the gap of, man, I could have been doing this before, but everything happens when it's supposed to. So now I'm just waiting for the floodgates of support and abundance to open up in a new way, because now I'm showing up in my design. Because before, like, I would have like one, like, yeah, I'm kind of showing up by design here. I'm kind of, I'm doing the things over here because society says I should do this and I'm actually really good at it. But the gag is, when you're a human computer, you're good at everything that you do. So it's like, then I'm good at these 50 things and I'm not fulfilled. And I'm like, what is my life?
Yeah.
No, like, reel it in, be who you came here to be, and everything will come together to come to fruition around that, because you'll be creating from the space of the most authentic part of yourself. So that's what I'm creating. If you think of this membership that I'm launching, the community is a circle. It's kind of like this. Here you go. I'm the dot in the middle of the circle. It's like a perfect visual. So there's no hierarchy. It's all connected. And I just happen to be the little nucleus cell in the middle going, hey guys, wouldn't it be cool if ... let's hold hands and see what happens. So that's what I'm creating.
That's amazing. That's phenomenal. Probably by the time this podcast episode airs, you will be launched. So link in bio. I think that that's exceptional. And I know that my listeners, as they're listening, are like, oh, that's me. I'm in. Let me go be in that. But I'm curious for you what that heart feeling feels like for you, because as you're calling those people in, I'm aware that you have your soul clients, your soul family that are going to find you from all the corners of the world, wherever they may be. So I'm curious what they feel like for you.
They feel like people who want to show up and just be themselves and be valued and loved for it, which is everybody.
Totally.
However, some people are not going to outwardly answer the call or have their curiosity piqued enough to take the chance to join something like that. But those who are, and who want to be in a container space of wonder and curiosity and exploration, adventure and play and co-creation and discovery and real connection, then yes, this is for you. Just allowing yourself to dive deeply into the things that bring you joy. What brings you joy? What are you inspired by? What is igniting you? What is activating you? And then being in a container with other people who are bringing that energy to the table, while I stand in the middle and say, this is what activates me. I like to use my voice. I like good food. I like to travel. I like to share all these little bits of wisdom that I encounter and absorb, and then figure out my own twist on it with people, because I'm here to reflect things back to you just so you can have a consummate experience. I'm using my avatar to have a bomb ass human experience. What are you doing? I just get to show up in this vessel and do the things. I'm literally here to reflect people's humanity back to them. And that's one of the questions we're asking. And it's really funny that I'm this bald, petite woman. I look like a mannequin, right? Really attractive one. But what does victory look like to you? What is victory to you? What does that look like? What does an artist look like to you? If I'm in this landscape, what does that sound like? What does that smell like? What does that taste like? What does that feel like? What is the food like? All the things, engaging all the senses to create this fantasy world that is actually our real world. We actually live here. Earth is amazing. It's exhausting.
Earth is amazing.
It's exhausting and amazing at the same time. But that's the human experience. And that goes back to that polarity. That's really just a circle. It's two sides of the circle that meet, or the infinity symbol. I am here as a multidimensional being to show people and be an example of the fact that it's a yes and, because life is a yes and. It's not a no but. Things are not mutually exclusive. I am vulgar and intelligent. I'm sexy. I'm sacred. I am light. I am dark. I am a king. I'm a queen. I am all of the things. They can coexist. They're not mutually exclusive. I'm tender. I'm savage. They go together. They flow together. In fact, that's the fulcrum of balance, or harmony rather, because I don't really like the word balance. That's for scales. But harmony, that's true harmony, is when you allow yourself to be all of the things that you came here to be, and just allow
your
yourself
own note.
Yeah, absolutely. And whatever note that is in any given moment, or whatever facet. So I'm literally here saying, hey guys, I discovered this. This is how I'm choosing to express it. You want to get in this container with me, and let's do this. What does your expression look like? Let me share what I love and what I revere and what I know and what I cherish and what I think is cool. What do you think is cool? What do you want to make together? How do you want to be together? How would you like me to show up? Let's create that together.
That's the thing that I love about the human existence that I'm having right now, particularly, I would say, in the Web3 space, but really just in space and time in life right now, is that I'm finding a lot of people who are in that same headspace of, hey, I really want to not just hate life every day. I'd like to actually really love life every day. And I'd like to live my life as if I already love it. And I want to live it kind of unabashedly with my fingers up to the systems, because I want to have everybody understand that this is entirely possible. Not only is it possible, it's literally the way that it should be. And I've been reflecting on the Dark Ages a lot. This is part of why Shakespeare is kicking around. And I've just been reflecting on how much we've been told a particular way of life is the way because of the way that that system was built, so that we're all sort of under this hierarchy of the king and the queen without really understanding that each and every one of us is both, and
Yeah.
don't need to be giving reverence to something outside of ourselves in that way, but really inside of ourselves. And, I had this thought, kings and queens, they were ordained by God, right? That was the idea, is that, and even this nonsense with the guy who sat on a chair and his wife who's jumping up for the crown a couple of weeks ago. They're ordained by God, but I'm like, so was I, and so were you, and
It's all
so
different expressions of the same energies.
right. I was tripping out because I was like, what a crazy reality that in this reality, these people are living in that existence. But also, what is the difference and why aren't we all living that way yet? How do we get there?
Yeah. I mean, well, we consented to that as a human race, and that's why we believe it, and that's why it was reality, because perception is reality. So if we're all collectively choosing that, then that's what it is. But now it's like things are shifting, and the model is shifting, the paradigm is shifting, the reality is shifting, and we can exist in a different way. What does that look like? Where do we start? Start with yourself. And then
And
like connect with
coming back to yourself over and over and over again.
yeah. And not the self who the world told you to be, but the self who you are when you get all the shit out of the way and you sit there and listen. But that's the thing, is a lot of people are not listening, and they're not attuning to themselves enough to even understand where to find the truth of who they are is, which is why I love meditation. That's why I love music too. Sound is a great equalizer. It will get you together very quickly. Very quickly.
I agree with you. And I think that meditation is I don't want to say cure, but it's certainly the way, because your answers are your answers. And that's why I said keep coming back to yourself, because I will 100% say, as somebody who's been on this journey for a while, my answers that would have been my answers 10 years ago, 5 years ago, 5 months ago, they're different answers. And if I don't keep checking in, I lose my capacity. The muscle gets weak when you don't exercise it. And when the muscle is weak, then you make choices that are out of alignment. And then you got to keep coming back to yourself even more. It's that old saying of like, you should meditate for 20 minutes every day. Unless you're busy, then you should meditate for an hour.
Yeah, exactly. That's like a metaphor for my life right now, is I'm meditating for an hour. Where's the hour? So my whole life is, I'm in this coaching container that has homework. I have to be accountable.
Are you the coach, or are you coach?
I don't know if anybody's ever heard of it, but I'm in mastery and transformational training. I'm in the legacy program right now. And it's a huge responsibility. And it's helping me to show up as a better leader. It's helping me to manage my energy and my time, and also manage the parts of myself that frustrate me better and navigate them. As if I didn't have enough shit to do, I signed up for this thing where, by the way, you get to be responsible for yourself in a container with 52 other people. What the fuck? Why? My soul was like, if you want to really show up in this way, you have to find new ways of being. Can you execute in softness? Because when I get into execution mode, I become like this fembot from the future, because that's like the masculine side of me, turn into a robot. And it's like, can I surrender and still be emotive and still be loving and execute with softness? So that's happening in real time. And so I know why my soul told me to sign up for this shit. And now I'm here. And then it's also reflecting me back to myself in real time. All of the things that I don't like about myself, which is not really who I am, plus all the things that I know and love about myself, which is also not the truth of who I am. I'm somewhere in between. It's just feedback. It's just information. Or somewhere outside of it. So I just get to receive this feedback and be like, oh, how do I choose? Because we always get to choose to flow through this experience. How do I want to be today? Who am I? How do I want to be? And I'm really just leaning into living from that and being gentle with myself, to not judge myself because it's a new way of being, and being like, fuck, you don't really fit in over here and you don't have the things that you want. But guess what? You have everything that you need. I have everything that I need. There's so much abundance. And oh, wow, remember that.
It's so hard because we are so often told in so many ways that we're not enough, and that there isn't enough, and that it's all going to end, and we better get it all and hoard it for ourselves.
Yeah, because if we embodied the energy and the truth that we are enough, who's going to be there to tell us we're not and sell us all the shit that we don't need?
Exactly. How many industries, you said it earlier, right? Just collapse upon themselves. The beauty industry. So many, I mean, that's just the first domino,
And it's
right?
like fun. I'm wearing a little bit of makeup right now. It's fun. I have bomb ass cheekbones. Yes, I like to highlight
Yes.
them. Do I need that shit? No, but it's fun. I get to play. It's a part of my creation. And I love beautiful things. It makes me feel like I can enhance this part of my face in a new way. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I feel more beautiful without it. It's whatever I decide to feel. I don't need this shit though. And I like it. So it's a yes and. But when you get into this place of feeling like dependent on something, I need this thing or else I'm not complete, or I need this thing or else I'm not good enough, or I need this thing or else, you always have everything that you need.
The world would look like a whole different place without it. Less filler, so to speak, less stuff.
Yeah. And I think what's happening is there's a simplification. We need less things than we think we need. We desire, it's not even desire, because desire to me is tied to design. Desire feels like it's something that's generated from the inside out and it's part of your design. Want is like, I want this thing that's outside of myself and I need to satiate myself because I don't feel satisfied inside. If you're deeply satisfied, you don't really want anything. You have desires and you're not attached to them, but they're not the same. And I don't need a lot. I don't really shop. That doesn't mean I don't desire. I don't want to go shopping sometimes. Do I really need that shit? I'd rather spend my money on something else. I'd rather buy a plane ticket. And it doesn't mean I have to always pick and choose, but it's where am I investing the flow of my energy in any given moment, including my resources, my time, my attention, whatever, my money, even the money that I haven't made yet. Where am I going to put it? I'm already thinking about that.
Right. I've been thinking about that too, because I'm not somebody who has this deep desire to own a piece of property where I'm from. It's just not there for me, even though all the people I love are here and all the things that have been normal my whole life are here. It's just not there for me. And so there's a massive expansiveness to that, of this trap that a lot of people get stuck in because they think they desire to have a house and a family and all of those normal things that you're supposed to have, and to observe it as somebody who's very clear that those are not my desires. I'm happy if you're happy with them and I love that you have them. But do you desire that, or did you just want it to feel something?
It's the feeling. So if you can reverse engineer, like if you can go from wants to desire to what will the desire fulfilled truly yield, it's the feeling we're after. My friend even said that to me this morning, because one of my focus right now is fun and finances. I deserve to be abundantly compensated just because, period, because of who I am. Because there's no amount of money in the world that could add up to the value of who I intrinsically am as a person. That just doesn't exist. However, I deserve to be abundantly compensated just for who I am and the way that I show up and share my gifts. So there we go. There's that. And it's already happening. So has that happened in the way that I desire? Not as of yet. It's happened in other ways, but financially it has not. And I take full accountability for what I've co-created for that to not have manifested in the way that I want yet. However, that's shifting. And what's the feeling? So she was like, what do you feel? Because I'm a non-specific manifester, which is a whole other conversation, but people got to get super granular and like have to know all the details. That is like too controlling and soul crushing for me. And I get attached. So to not be attached and flow fully into the feeling, I have to go into what's the dreamy dreamscape space. How do I really want to feel? How does it feel in my body? What were the words? I'm actually going to look this up because I texted it. And I said, powerful, inspired, and free. That's ultimately why I'm focused on having fun and my finances, because those are the feelings that I am channeling, that I desire to embody consistently. And the goals that I have around having more fun and having more financial abundance is tied to those three things. That's the feeling. So I literally had to sit and feel my way into it. And there's a list of things that I'm doing and creating to have more fun and actually have more financial abundance that's happening. But it's because I'm really feeling into how do I want to feel? How do I want to be? Again, going back to the being, right? It's the being before the doing and the having. It's 1, 2, and 3. Like one is the nucleus that then informs the other two.
Yeah, I think that's incredibly powerful. I think it's imperative at this time in human history to be that way and to understand. And I feel like the power behind what you're saying of this is my value. And you're such a beautiful mirror because I've been in a very similar vibration and a very similar energy where I've been calling in more fun and also finance. And I'm taking responsibility for it in a new kind of way that feels exciting and not scary, which in
Mhm.
itself is kind of a weird way to be for me. Typically, finance equals terrifying, but that idea of you literally could not put a number on the value of me. And this is an interesting thing because Jana Stern has infinite value and Jana Stern, comma, healer has to price things,
Yes.
right? And so
Yes.
the price of things is where they are because Jana Stern is infinite and cannot be numerated. And
Yeah.
also, Jana Stern healer needs to be remunerated. Everything is energy, right? So you probably want to learn more about your energetic body. I have written a book about the chakra system that explains each of the 7 major chakras, how they work, how to know if they're out of balance, and how to activate and align yourself so that you can bring yourself into a state of well-being in body and in spirit. Want to get your copy? Go to solo.to/Jana Stern and click Buy My Book today. Are you a crazy crystal lover like me? I have a digital collection of crystals that give you a channeled message and a lifetime discount on all services with me. Choose from over 50 of some of my favorite crystal magic punks by heading over to solo.to/Jana Stern and clicking Crystal Magic Punks on Polygon. Have you been asking the universe what you're meant to do in this lifetime? Our birth chart is the map that shows us the path to ourselves and helps us to live in alignment with our purpose. If you want access to a natal chart reading with me at a crazy discount, visit solo.to/Jana Stern and click on the Higher Being on Ethereum to purchase. So it's a very interesting reflection, and I'm curious how you live that. Do you know what I mean?
I was challenged by this for a long time as an artist and also as someone in the healing arts as well too, or the remembrance arts, whatever you want to call it, because healing is really just remembering, a reconciliation of self back to your wholeness. And I value things that are so far beyond money, but
Mhm.
money is important and it's the avatar of our entire existence of exchange. It's the crux of our exchange here a lot of the times. I could easily go do a concert for somebody and they could be like, here's a house. And I'd be like, cool, thanks. So I'm open to different forms of exchange. However, when I show up and that's not happening, then I got to figure out what's the price of my services. I price things in a way which I actually was inspired by a friend of mine. What is it going to require for me to show up and be deeply present for this amount of time, sharing my gifts and my infinite, expansive, abundant energy, that I am not thinking about anything but that when I'm here? I'm fully deeply present while I'm channeling and doing the thing and sharing this energy. What does that look like for me? What is the price of that?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
there also is a little bit of math because, for instance, if I'm doing X, Y, and Z a certain amount of times, and then you can break that down and then figure out what's your range of the price, right? You can get mathematical with it, but basically, people sometimes will ask me about sound healing, and I'll give them my rates. And they'll be like, "Ooh," other people won't blink because what do you value? What's value to you? And then also, what's your money story? Because that also matters too. I'm rewriting my money story because I had a lot of money wounds, and I'm okay saying that now. I wasn't before. I used to have a lot of shame around that. And then I've really flipped my perspective. And does that mean I still don't get frustrated with where I'm at? I absolutely do. But then I have to remember, what can you do to flip that? And what are you doing? And can you be grateful for the fact that you have the awareness and you're actually going up in a way that is changing that, right? And I have another friend that's like, the price is the price is the price. However, it depends. Sometimes it's contextual. There's always exceptions to the rule when it comes to certain things. My private rate is different than my group rate is different than my corporate rate. There's never anything that's done for free. It's always an exchange of energy. So if I'm doing something where they're not necessarily paying me money, I'm doing it out of the kindness and goodness of my heart, and it's feeding me in a different way. So there's always some sort of exchange, right? But I can't live there because, again, I'm not showing up to do a concert and somebody's like, here's a car and a house. If and when that happens, sure, let's do it. Or here's some equity. I'm okay with that. Until then, and since I have to be the manager of my own house, like financial house, not the actual house, but of my own experience, I'm not trying to eradicate money. I love money and money loves me. And I'm about to get a whole bunch more of it all the time, more consistently and abundantly, so I can be a conduit of wealth for other people. That's already happening. I'm speaking that into existence and it's already happening. That's even one of the things that I'm working on I'm constructing this activation or experience around money in this membership. Okay, here's my money story. Here's my journey with money. This is what I actually learned and found out. This is what I'm choosing to embody. What about you? Literally taking people on this journey of abundance, financial abundance, but how it's an energetic thing that shows up materially through themselves. And that's one of the things that I want to offer within this community. And it's got a juicy title, and I don't want to say it out loud because somebody might take it. It's not trademarked yet, but that shit is going to be fire. And why not? Why not? I value myself. I value this experience. How does that translate materially? Because if I was to say, I don't need this $30,000, but I'll take that car if it's fully paid for. Yeah, I'll fucking take it. I don't need that $1 million, but I'll take that house if it's paid for. I'll fucking take it and pay the taxes, whatever. I'll figure it out. It's the exchange of what is it that I value, because those are things that I value, because I value freedom and being able to move how I want to move, right? So a car, I value security of a home and having a luxurious, juicy space, even if it's wabi-sabi imperfection. To me, that's my version of luxury. I value these things. I value having a home that's a respite and a haven. I value these things. And because I value these things, they always appear in my life, whether they're mine or not. I'm always taken care of. Whether I'm actively seeking these things and they're coming to and through me, or they're coming into my life through other people. I always have these things in my life, but now I want them in a new way, from a different value system. And I want to be able to generate it for myself in a way that's completely different than I've ever done, and show other people that they can do that too, using my gifts and just showing up and being who I am to have this experience with those things.
It's amazing. More and more women need to be thinking in those expansive ways. We've all been so limited for whatever reason in our mind and in our hearts that there's only so much that's available for us to access. And I think that it's really important that we shift it. And we really need to change the whole narrative around who has money, what that looks like, and understanding that it can't be the white guys anymore who have
And
all the
also how you can acquire it, because don't cut yourself off from any possibilities. Who's to say that I don't befriend a billionaire who then wants to put money in my account and says, you can keep the interest for holding the money for me, and I'm making $1 million a quarter based on whatever the fuck account he puts my name on. And me being in not a relationship, but a friend or a business, whatever, for the connection to that person, that woman, that man is, who's like, you know what? Actually, I see where I could use a little support, and here's how I'm going to support you. Hold this for me, and you can live off the interest. You can keep that for yourself. I'm not closed off to any avenues of financial abundance that are not hurting anyone. That's the main thing. Is it for the highest good of all and the harm of none, essentially? And if it's aligned with that, if that's the energy, then I'm okay with all the avenues. A lot of the things and a lot of the ways that I've received resources and even money, I didn't actively seek them out. They just kind of happened because I was just open to that. And it was, again, the feeling, like more of the feeling. How do I want to feel? What is it that I value? And then it would magnetize to me in these magical ways. Even where I live right now, I live in Venice with my partner. And when I came to California when I was 9 years old, first place we came, my uncle took us to Venice Beach. And I was like, oh my God, I love it here. When I grow up, I'm going to live in Venice by the beach. Fast forward, fucking 30 something years later, I live in a house. I could walk to the beach from my house in Venice. What is happening?
That's the power of the mind and intention, right? And also, it's the power of believing in yourself.
And also not being attached, because I literally was like, man, wouldn't it be cool if, man, I really think that would be cool. Oh, what is that? What would that feel like? Okay. And then I let it go. And then I bumbled around and fumbled around and did all the things, and then was like, oh shit, I forgot about that wish. And now I'm here.
Non-attachment, that's a good one to be mindful of, because in trying to manifest a new reality, if you're attached to something, you just tell the universe over and over again that you're not ready for it.
Yeah, attachment is resistance. And so you're just pushing the thing further away, because that clinging, that longing, if you don't already realize that it's already flowing to you, then I'm good. I don't need to be near you. I don't even need to be in your atmosphere. You're good. It's like this. Nothing can flow into my hand if a closed fist. If I open it, everything flows into it. It's the same thing with attachment. And when you're not attached to things, which is hard to do as a human, it's a challenging muscle that you have to keep flexing to get that muscle memory up. When you are not attached to something, you allow the magic of the universe to do its job, because you can't do everything. You can't be the person who's the source of your experience and also creating the entire experience. You're not God. You are a cell in the body of God. You are an expression of God energy. You are God, but you're not. You wouldn't have come here in this body. You would have come in a different form or not come at all. Let go and live a little.
You're exceptional as a human being.
Thank you.
The day we met, I knew it. And every time we speak, it's confirmed for me. And I'm very, very grateful that you were able to make some time and space for this today. And I feel like we could go for hours and hours,
I
but I'm going
know.
to wrap it because I know you have a life. Unless you don't want one anymore and you just want to be on this podcast.
Oh my God, that's
In
amazing.
which case we could do that. But tell the people where they can find you.
Well, you can find me at victoryjones.com, and currently my album that I released last June, is there. It's called Antenna, and I own all the rights to my music with the person that I wrote and produced the album with, the producer Livingston Brown. And so whenever people purchase that album, it directly empowers me. There's no middle person in between. I am the source of my own experience, and I'm the owner of my artistic rights. And so when you buy my album, it goes right into my bank account. So thank you in advance, which is a different paradigm for a lot of artists, unless you're an independent artist and are empowered by the people who co-create with you. So you can find me at victoryjones.com. You can also find me on Instagram at SRVJ, or you can just type in Victory Jones and I'll pop up.
What's the SR for?
So I have two names. I have the name my mom gave me, and then the name that God whispered to me. That's a whole other episode. We would go on for an hour and a half on that. But I'm basically, it's my Clark Kent and my Superman. It's the infinity. So it's all my initials, all of my names, because I'm all the things. So it's SRVJ. And the V is for victory. So you can find me on Instagram there. I'm also kind of on Twitter, but not really. I'm sure that will change. I'm kind of also on TikTok, but not really. And I'm sure that will change, especially because everything in musical lives on TikTok. Super fun. So if I'm calling it more fun, I want to invite myself to get more creative and playful with my content capture, specifically on TikTok and Instagram. Instagram is my main bag, and then my website. I think all my socials and all that stuff is on my website as well too. And then I'm probably going to be showing up in a few other spaces and places, and there will be the Discord. Once my community is launched, you can find me there.
And they'll be able to purchase access to your collective there too.
Yeah, the digital token and the artwork and the music will be available. Everything will live on my website, either through a landing page and on social media as well. It's really juicy because I've been calling in specific support, very specific kind, for a few years now. And it just, in the last 2 months, has manifested itself. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing, because I guess it's time and I'm ready. So I have a new business partner. He's a musician and a tech founder, which is amazing. And he's a music and tech. I'm at the intersection of music and healing arts. So we're combining all of those things, and it's really beautiful. And running music business like a tech startup, but with a lot of the juicy spirituality all woven between, which is completely my bag. So it feels really good. And he brings a lot of amazing resources to the table, as do I. So it's a really confluent and juicy partnership, which I really appreciate. And we're just making cool shit. And there's going to be fun things coming. There's going to be a podcast coming, an animated series coming, but you have to be a member of the community. So my thing is access. But I get to be the gatekeeper of how people access my energy. And so that's why I'm putting a little bubble or portal around the experience, because I have to be specific with my energy. And also it's not for everyone, but it's for a hell of a lot of people. I'm looking forward to seeing those numbers fly through the roof and grow and pop open and exceed my non-existent expectations. Because I'm just my goal, actually, my initial goal is to activate for the first run 1,000 core fans. Because I read somewhere once, if you have 1,000 core fans, you're fucking set for life and you can do anything. So my goal is to activate 1,000 core fans. And so I'm going to spend the month of June, which is my birthday month, reaching out to and amplifying and announcing, hey guys, this is what I'm building. Please join me. And my goal is to activate 1,000 core fans.
I'll be number one fan. Let's go.
Thank you. And I don't even want to call them fans. I want to call them collaborators, co-conspirators, or co-creators, because I don't have fans. I don't have followers. I have community. We are a community. It's a circle. It's all connected.
Well, I'm super excited to see all the success of it. And I'm really stoked to help you build it and get it out to the world. And very grateful that you were able to make some time for me today, and that everybody that listens to this podcast gets to hear you speak and gets a little toe in. And if you want more access, then go get more access. It's very available. So head over to Victory's website. Thank you all for joining us. And thanks for just existing. Take good care of yourselves. Thanks for listening to another episode of I'm Really Into That Stuff. Follow along with us on Instagram at I'm Really Into That Stuff, and be sure to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. If this episode resonated with something that you're really into, share it with someone you love. Sending you strength, peace, love, and light until next week.